I'm
What's up?
Listen with my screen. That's what's up. You caught me.
A little shorter than you thought, eh?
Hey, everybody.
How are we doing?
What are we doing tonight?
What are we doing?
How's it going?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what
It's
we're doing.
going well.
We have our guest, Jason, aka Shaman 711, joining us. How are you doing?
I am doing well, brother. I am recovering from, I don't know what you call it these days. It didn't quite feel like what I used to get when I was a kid. It was a bit like a lung infection, but also, I don't know, man. Who knows what bug they were throwing out just to see. And I say that seriously because I talked to the doctor, and the ratio of school kids, I have young daughters running around the house now. One of them is being chased by Jake, the new puppy. If you hear somebody screaming, that's what it is. I promise. There's no violence outside of joy happening. But I see the reports, and it's staggering the amount of children are getting sick, and getting sick with the weirdest things, pink eye combined with strep throat. And some of it they can't even diagnose, but they've got all the same symptoms. So, I say that jokingly, half jokingly in the post-COVID reality. However, I typically do, although I don't go with vaccinations of any sort, I will, with a trusted doctor, take a steroid shot when I know I have an appearance coming up and I have an infection that's going to take me 5 days to do naturally. So I went and did that yesterday. So I'm feeling much better. That, along with just taking care of myself, lots of ginger root for the lungs, really helps with that. But mostly, gentlemen, I'm excited to be hanging out with you. And I got to learn. I got a new mic even. I got to learn to hold it. Exceptionally grateful. Jeff and I, for those in the audience, Jeff and I have met in person out in Arizona. Jeff had been on my newly birthed podcast, The Shaman and the Philosopher, with Ricardo Calvario. Hey, boss. Jeff was one of our early guests, and so we have gotten to know each other. It was just almost, there's so much more once you get to meet someone in person. No matter what happens when you're together, it's just you get so much more data about who that person is from just this online interaction. So with that said, I'm honored and I'm pleased to be here and just tell a few stories and show some videos of some evidence along the way.
Oh yeah, man. No, thanks for being here. And like you said, like meeting in person, really get more details on someone. Like you walk up and I'm like, I'm 6 foot. This dude's big. Tall dude. No, it was an absolute blast we had out in Arizona, hanging out with everyone. And
truly
was. Yep. When I joined you and Ricardo on your show, Shaman and Philosopher, we started that show talking about copper mining in Michigan, and then it turned into Peru megaliths and my trip to Egypt. So
yeah. Well, I think tonight what you're going to get to see is kind of why I was pulling it that way. Towards the end of what, if we're going to call this a presentation, hopefully it's just a scan of my own, my own phone's videos. I do have all of my YouTube presentation. I've turned a lot of these into whatever products, Antediluvian, Alabama, logoed snippets. And I try to sort of center them on some of the main questions that I believe these places raise. However, I thought tonight I'd just use some raw footage and sort of walk you through how I got there, how I was taking myself out of this narrative blindness. I didn't start myself, seeing all of this. And that gets me into my starting points, probably, if we had a producer.
Yeah. While you're getting your stuff pulled up here, I'll say hi to the chat.
Chat. Yeah. How do I see chat? I've never.
You can't see it.
Yeah.
If you hit on the right side, you should say comments.
Yeah.
Should be able to click that. It'll pull up the chat. So.
Yep. See a lot of friendly faces in that chat.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Ricardo, yep. Tammy, what's up, Tammy? Tammy, I saw something was broken on you earlier. Or how are you? Sarah, did you bring the flip-flops? I know you're gonna have to pause Zelda. Okay, I fucking hate it for you. You're gonna have to pause Zelda for this bit.
Sophie,
Max, dude.
Yeah, Sophie,
thanks,
our Peruvian friend.
Good to see you, bro. Jacqueline,
yeah, we got
as always. Thank
you.
you. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
My name's Jeff.
see Chell.
Yeah.
So
We got Andy in the chat. Andy couldn't make it. He had other stuff going on, but he's going to be in the chat tonight. And then Chell, yep, we got everyone. All right.
Well,
You want to start?
I have a few starting points. I was at least professional enough to get a few starting points laid down that were important to me. But past that, you guys saw when I tested screen share, I have my phone opened up so that we can look at these videos that I was taking as I was going on this sort of story arc, which I will condense to about our first 10 minutes. A lot of the followers who have clung to me, now with the evidence, I think don't quite have the, well, what got me there? You know what I mean? Without, it's a lot of spiritual stuff, and I know that's not this type show. So I figure I'll just take 3 or 4 minutes to sort of, use the terminology that folks will understand, so they understand how this dude ended up finding everything you see behind him. By the way, that's all. Even the skull, that thing was nailed to a tree with a big winter hat pulled down on it in the middle of fucking nowhere. No kidding.
Really? Oh, wow.
I took the skull and left the hat.
Yeah, I bet. Wow.
Well, that's cool.
The wand found, man, cut this down on a landscaping job. All I had to do was cut the end and get the bark off.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? So, just to say everything found back here. Now, to get started, we're live. Why did I agree to go live with you? I constantly feel the need to not slow down. Usually I like to kind of have conversationally, but now I'm like, fuck, people are watching. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yes,
I know.
Yes,
absolutely.
Dude, people are always watching. That's the thing about, I use the screen name Shaman and spirituality. And once you are opened up and you go through the process of the reality of, use whatever term you want, other dimensions, okay, things that science can give you a grasp on, whatever. I say spiritual senses, right? Things beyond our limited few senses by design. Once you start taking on the reality of those consciousnesses, my experience tells me they are individuated consciousnesses. I'm specifically trying to use words not like angels or demons or God, let's get to my notes. That answers what I was about to say.
All good.
All right. Spiritual component quickly noted. Rue. Thank you, sir. Rue is the man. Y'all listen. Rue has a story that I've got the nervous excitement right now about my presentation. So I might tell the story in a little more derogatory way than you want me to tell. Rue had an encounter with someone on the other side. And again, I don't know why there are sides. Shout out to JT if you're watching and any of the other people, just because I don't know your name at the moment, that are archaeologists that are like the rest of us, that do understand that at work, you can throw some things at each other because for some stupid reason, that's become what work is. But just like in all of the world, when you're not at work, what does that have to do with shit? You're still a human. You've got a wife or animals or pets or babies. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
So
sure.
just to nail that in the bud, it's one thing to have fun with each other, but it's not even necessary. So hi to everyone. You're welcome. And thank you. Now, I'm going to get to my notes here before we already hit the first hour, and I haven't even begun this process.
No, you're all good. You got this.
So
do it live.
So the spiritual component. All right. So this all begins, my finding everything. Now it begins Mabila, right? And the native stuff, right? That then springs forth. Now, how that starts, I'll just start with what I wrote. It's short. So spiritual component. It's important to bring up AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? I was a drunk, dude. A freaking bottle of scotch just to get the first meal down, which was called your dinner. Right? The one you had at night. That was my first meal. And I took a bottle of scotch to get me there. Drunkard, right?
Damn.
Yeah. Well, I decided I needed help, right? And something inside me made me pick up a phone one night and make a call. And I made a call to a place, you know what I'm saying? To a person. And I got to a place. And it was the right place. And I had, when they finally saw me through it, listen, guys, all jokes aside, this place had done away with using any narcotics whatsoever in management of intake. You know, you go through withdrawals, and for alcoholics, your brain waves, you have a seizure essentially, because your brain wave has been way up here, and you plummet, and in this rebound, you seize and you die, right? So a lot of times they'll use diazepam, you know, various drugs to try to keep you sedated, to see you safely through that. Well, this particular clinic I had showed up at had started that year or maybe 4 or 5 years, but it was a now standard procedure that they were known for around the area. That they no longer do that. They see you through without using any further substances once you come to them, okay? Well, I found out after my extended 4 or 5 days in the intake room that I had been filled with 10 milligrams after 10 milligrams of diazepam after I got there to keep my my ass, you know, hanging on. But the place, as soon as I'm through that phase to keep us going, I was sat down in an auditorium and there was a list of 12 things to do. I didn't know anything about, you know, I hadn't dug in seriously to AA. There might have been one forced meeting to go to, but I knew somebody there was more concerned with, hey, what's up and out, right? You know, years and years and years in my young years, right? I didn't know concept of AA, but I'm sitting down and I'm in this new, not fully clear-headed state, but the closest I'd been in a very long time, right? Because I say sober, but I don't just mean free of alcohol. You know, I had made a choice and I was there, and now I was consciously, you know, gaining my consciousness back, right? I was just barely there, and I see these 12 rules. And what occurs to me is I just objectively, without any preconceived anything, read these rules. The first thing that pops in my head is this shit ought to be human 101. This really should, as soon as you can learn to fucking read, you should do this. Like, it's not even just about drunks and people with uncontrollable problems. It's about how to keep a soul clean, you know? And I saw that in that instant. And so I took that process quite seriously. Now, the 12th step, the last step, is having achieved conscious contact with your higher power. You attempt to maintain that conscious contact while serving others, right? That's your 12th step. Once you go through all the steps are to get you to conscious contact. They won't fucking tell you what that means. Go asking them. Go, what's conscious contact? Oh, you don't know yet? Like, motherfucker.
He doesn't know the 3 seashells. Is that what they're saying?
I don't think you know. You full of shit. But then when you know, a guy told me like this, I have daughters, and he knew I had daughters. And he said, you're a pretty good dad, aren't you? I said, well, it's what saves me, you know, it's what I cling to. So I hope it's working out, you know, in some form. He says, do you talk to them the same? Like, really at all? You know, when you're just wanting to connect with this one and connect with that one, do you talk to them the same? And I go, no. Even with Bella, even before she hit 12, it was, oh, fuck off. That's not even, you know. But with Charlotte, it was King's English, and, you know, as big of words as you could use, right? And he said, so look at you big, hairy, drunk dumbass who's hanging on to being a great dad. Don't you think the creator, this higher power you're after, would know how to speak to each of his children in a way that only he would understand? And my dumb ass went, yeah, probably. Right. So that helped me with once conscious contact occurs. And it is precisely what the word said. It is a conscious contact, you know, with higher power that is available to every human being. Now, moving on from spiritual, what that bled to is a shamanic calling. Now, I use that word intentionally, not only because if you look it up in the dictionary, you're going to get a pretty basic idea of what that 2 to 3 year span of my life looked like. It fucking sucked, right? Everything is stripped from you. Everything. Fucking everything. There's no other word. Everything, right? Except this new conscious contact, right? I took this new conscious contact down to something else that wasn't taken from me. The woods, the creeks, nature, animals, my dog, fire, steaks that I was cooking, waking up to take a crap in the morning, and my view was misty sunrise over water. They pay millions for this shit.
Yep.
Literally. All right. That's where I took that conscious contact. Now, what happens? You got to build a fire pit. You got to pick up rocks. Yeah. You got to pick up a lot of rocks if you want a big fire pit. You got to gather a lot of firewood. You start noticing terrain, right? You start noticing animals. You start noticing birds. You start getting in touch with that environment while you're maintaining 12th step, this conscious contact. And see, that's what it was. I'm hyper curious, gentlemen. Curiosity is what saved my life. And when I found this conscious contact thing, I wasn't stopping there. You know, that was look, it saved my life, guys. Imagine living, you know, your whole 40 whatever nearly years in a world that tried its best to tell you that God is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That it's bullshit. And it nearly killed you. You nearly let the alcohol, because, you know, the 3-drink world, you know, we say we became alcoholic because we miss God too damn much, because that 3 drinks, it takes you back, you know, to that smiling sort of world. That world smiles at you a little bit, you know. So, yeah, you can tell I got personally invested there for a moment. So if any of you are alcoholics, you just saw that I fucking was too. So feel free to obviously reach out, because it's been, I've even lost count. I think 7, you know, years now.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely. It you know, it's amazing. You think about how many people kind of in our realm have somewhat of a similar story when it comes to getting into all this.
Yeah, it's necessary if you want the truth. I mean, I'm not saying, like, I look at your generation, you know, if folks can't already tell, we are basically a separate generation, you know. So I would say certainly spiritually. And what I mean that in a way that's sort of an upgrade, right? I mean, we're definitely equals, but I mean, I think you're coming in, you know, more equipped for what hopefully mine is laying down for you. You know what I mean? So that takes, I need a little more Hunter Thompson in me over here, you know, to fucking, what is it? The only people who know where the edge are the ones that go over it, baby. And, you know, show me an edge and I'll show you where it is. I might ask for a rope. I might not, but I'll hope for water at the bottom. That's for sure. And there always is in that joke bit.
Okay.
So let me wrap up the spiritual bit, and I know you're going somewhere. So, guys, in the process of this and being in that world I described down here on these creeks, these protected little waterways, I started then, you know, knowing that this was native territory. It's well-known native territory, and through working with higher power, I began being opened up to another spirit, to more spirits, right? Spirits of native. I began inhabiting these woods barefoot, you know, and excuse me, ladies, but loincloth in the warm weather, you know, going through looking for things, tracing springs out, just to digging out of the bottom of springs and finding caches of the prettiest worked agates and stones, you know, like at a casino, just, you know, just right out here. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, a couple of years of that, not even caring if I was convincing anybody, not even sharing, just knowing. Look, towards the end of that, I'll end it with this while Jeff comes back. Towards the end,
you're good. I'm just
toward the end of that discovery process, you would see more than one nights of me, because I had my daughters, you know, week on, week off there for a while. So the weeks I wasn't with them, water, you know, you'd find me in the backpack in the middle of the night, just looking up, going, what is it with the fucking rocks? What is it with, why do I pick up another fucking rock? You go, what is, and I just get back. Trust me on the rocks, right? You know, it's a lot of those nights. It's a lot of those nights to get to the shit we're going to show you tonight. So that's the spiritual component. And it wraps up with, through that, I then began opening myself up to the reality of the spiritual connection with not only all these aforementioned things, but the native component. I had no idea about Mabila. Don't even have a reference about it, right? I had no idea. Wasn't looking for it. I was chasing the moments and creating those moments wherever I went that I just described to you. Wherever I went, when there was a creek nearby, as soon as my obligation in that particular area was done, my friends knew, that way they just point to the creek, and knew there was no hope. If it was time to leave and I wasn't back, give a cursory call. Otherwise, shag on. He's not, who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, he's okay.
He's okay. We'd have seen a flare, or he'd have burnt half the forest down or something if you needed this. I mean,
Right.
So it was a known quantity that I was inhabiting this space, right? I call it shamanically, but guys, what I needed was that contact that I didn't have to sit and meditate with. I needed that contact because I was facing a divorce. I was facing custody battles. There was just shit all over, man. My life, shamanic calling, everything, house fires. I needed a functional thing that I could walk around with, a connection. And that's what this was. And it took all of this to find it. Now, at the end of all of this, there comes a mysterious day where I was in a creek and there was some metal. And the metal shouldn't have fucking been there. I didn't know what the metal was. I didn't know why there was so much of it. But damn it, you know me, I'm going to trace it out. And I think that leads us into Mabila. My last sentence here, and I'll end it and hand it over, was this native spiritual connection formed the way I saw the world and the way I interpreted reality. And that's just to establish to you. So now I was coming and doing my best, coming from seeing this place I live in, seeing the actual 3D landscape, from those eyes, right? Now that I know the natives were everywhere, and now they've read these DeSoto chronicles, in all their iterations, let me see that world, right? And I mean, it's everywhere. Every house is on it, every construction job you go to, I'm going to pull you up artifacts. It doesn't matter. Just point to where they're digging, Anyway, yeah, that's it. So that leads us into the physical component, which I think I already laid out for you. My note was the physical component came while I was seeking solitude on the creeks of the area and noticed these artifacts all around me. I let the presence and the spirit of the place speak to me with God, the sacredness of these spaces. They became home to me, and they still are. And that's my intro.
Well done, sir.
Don't
Actually, hold on.
That was like a C at best. I am proud of the fact that reading it was redundant. I worked it in without even looking at the notes. I should have gone back.
Like Andy says, what a trip.
Andy got it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear, man. Well, that how far you've come with everything, and Rube really had a good nice thing said here.
Rebuilding. There's a lot of scarred souls rebuilding themselves in this community. Souls that have been and seen dark times and spaces and have made the choice to be the best people they can possibly be. I admire them. I agree too, Rue. I didn't say much to Michael Collins when I was out there in Arizona. I knew he had a lot fucking going on other than talking to some big hairy stranger. But I was close to him a lot. I was borrowing his phone charger and seeing what I could do to assist and just whatever. Being a dude backstage. I mean, I used to be in theater, you know what I mean? It's whatever, you're hanging out backstage, letting the director do his shit. Last night though, we ended up at the bar together. Didn't realize I turned around and that was his, ass rubbing up against me. And all to Rue's point, what came out of my mouth was you're an inspiration,
Nice.
And that's truth. And it's to the point of what Rue's talking about. You're looking at a lot of people that have seen what in so many cases, obviously not in all, and remember, all things are relative. When I say this, right, my worst day and your worst day are still the worst day we've ever experienced. It doesn't matter if yours was sitting on a pin and mine was falling in a fire. It's still our worst experience, but people who have been to a rock bottom, and have learned what I hope is much easier for others to pick up, that a higher power associated life, one in which you put your will, your ego, and all these things. This materialistic realm is trying to get us to drive us. When you learn to detach from those objectively and view yourself objectively, right? like these entities outside of yourself can. You can learn to sort of integrate that wisdom and that knowledge. And in places like AA, they're structured to do that, whatever their goal is. My honest feeling is that places like that should be structured just as generically or as culturally specific in a local community as possible for everyone. If a fucking 6-year-old wants to walk in and give it a shot, we let them. They'd probably beat us all, you know. It's just good soul. It's like Christ's teachings, you know, without parables, with some actionable plans that work. You know, you get to that third step, I believe it is, right? The prayer where you're supposed to hit your knees and say, I fucked up. I am fucking up. I am a fuck up. I can't do this. I'm wrecking it no matter how many times, no matter which way, doesn't matter what. I wreck it. So if you're listening, whatever the fuck you are, if you're there and you're hearing this, it's yours. Please come drive it. I'm done. All right. Now that's my paraphrase version. And one of the doctors that wrote it put a version much like that they didn't publish in the book, specifically to show you how real it's meant to be, you know. And when you do that and something answers back in a way that you hear loud and clear, when you ask in that third step, take away from me, dudes, I was a guy that couldn't travel. I couldn't travel out of state without mapping out the liquor stores, right? Okay, one day I find myself standing in a liquor store after having done that thing, and I was buying a Coke for a kid. She needed a cold Coke. They kept them cold over there, right? So I'm just in there, don't even realize until I'm up at the counter. I'm looking around going, I'm in a liquor store, right? That I didn't need a virgin birth. I didn't need, there was no outside occurrence that you could say to me demonstrated a higher power, right? I had just begged whatever was listening to take away something that I couldn't, that in all my brains and all my everything and all my attempts, I couldn't end. And once you do that, you go, oh, okay. You're there, whatever you are. What I call you, Chuck. Let's start ground zero here and build up trust and try to be partners in recreating life. Yeah, there you go. Nutshell.
Perfect. Well said, sir. Well said. All right.
Now, I guess we want to move on to rocks.
Yeah. Let's. Now.
Okay. So,
were you? Before you get going, were you intentionally hunting for Mabila originally? Or
no. So each thing I found, we're going to go chronologically tonight. We're going to begin. Let me fix this camera. I've been janking with it all night. I'm going to try to tell you what I'll do now is I'll just give you the story arc. We're going to do this in about, 10 minutes or so of how I found the things. And the only thing to know here is, no, I didn't really know what I was on until I was on each thing. Mabila, I was not looking for. I had not heard of Mabila. I was flipping houses. I was at 133 Sycamore Drive, funny enough, flipping a house, and Pine Creek was nearby, and I'd never spent any time in Pine Creek, and I was already well-versed in these shamanic practices. It's just the best word to use right now. Try not to get hung up on it, but it's just the best word I got at the moment, right? You could say talking with God, but then, weird people are going to take that in one direction. So shamanic practices, I had initially, we'll just need to do this all chronologically. So I go through all of these experiences as laid out. I spend several years sorting through, learning how to walk and be with God, as I now term him. And I identify him, under a Christian banner, not anyone in particular. And mainly that's just because I follow Christ. The rest of you, I need to see a complete questionnaire from before I believe you're a follower of Christ. You shall know them by their fruits. I'm that kind. Jesus never went in a building, and when he did, it was to tell people off. And I'm kind of the same way. So
table flipping too. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah,
right. That's where I identify with him, man. Stay out of the structures, and when you go in there, make sure you tell them how it is, please. Anyhow, we'll move away from the religious and back to the evidentiary story, which began on this porch right out here. my daughters, I took over to Corn Creek. Corn Creek is in Elmore County, Alabama, and it lies right near where DeSoto would have had to cross over. I did not know about this at that point. We just like to go swim there. There was one day the current was really swift, and my girls are brave. Look who they come from. And they didn't even check up or wait. So they're off before I'm even getting up the car. And man, it's a cliff down there. I hear yelling. I can't even tell what it is. And I see some blonde haired dude run by me. I get back and I stop him, and he turns around and he goes, "Girls getting swept away." He didn't even know they were mine. So I bolted down that cliff. I don't know how I fell. Didn't fall, man. Fast as you can. I'm off in the water. I'm halfway down the river, heading towards downtown Wetumpka. Don't know where I'm going to get out. Just got to get to these girls before I hear from the shore. "Dad, hey," looking back. Anyway, they were fine. They were fine, but they remembered Corn Creek. So when Charlotte's school began teaching the limited native history they offer, they taught her about the Battle of Burnt Corn Creek, which began in 1813 in down around Brewton, Alabama. Well, she began recalling the story under the impression that this was the same Corn Creek where she nearly drowned. I corrected her, but in that instance, one of my, shamanic tools I've learned to call, it really is it's like a fourth dimensional bell goes off, because I had already been after having experienced such as I had before AA, then this conscious contact I was experiencing before AA, after AA, I began basically a way of trying to see if it was functional, Jeff, right? To see if it was something that I could bring to the world, right? It was so realistic, right? And once it became that real for me, I just personally decided I had to keep going with it to try to make it something functional. So in that process, while you're busy running a landscaping company, and doing what you can to get by, something starts to occur to you. You can find things. You've learned so much reading these rocks and reading these creeks and reading this landscape all these years, and you can be guided. I hate to tell people it's really not woo. Once you're tuned in, you can be guided, whether it's through however pictures, voices, I don't know, the right thing falls in front of you. It's different for everybody, right? But once you lean into a guidance, you will find one, from my experience alone anyway. Well, I started leaning in, and I found a bit of a guidance, and that was it. You can say it as simply as this, Jeff. You go some places and there's power there, just a thing you feel that you don't feel other places, so folks don't trip out on what I'm saying. That's like one of the things you would use. So I get back to this creek by 133 Sycamore, and I was exhausted from a day at work, man. We've been tearing out in the house and, nailing. Somebody had sabotaged a tile floor we put out. I'm not even kidding. An angry contractor. Yeah, it was one of those days, man.
That's painful. Wow.
We were drained.
I told my buddy, I was like, "Look, this creek's right here, dude. It's cold. It's right here. Let's just go." He knows me in creeks, and he was like, "No, we don't have 8 hours." I was like, "Dude, it's so cold. Let's just go lay in it." And we did. And I walked down the creek, and by myself. He went north, I went south. And I fell down in the creek, and I sat up, and there was hawks. Again, hawks you can learn to use and read. They flew in. Of course, hawks are everywhere here. It's not just Paradoia. They're fucking everywhere. But they do come in this moment, and they're squawking. And the power, it just right then, I was like, there's power in this place. I have to revisit, and that became my next target creek, And I start noticing this metal, and at first there's little hollow pieces, and they're like this big. And my mind at the time just going, I wonder what the natives did with this shit. They must have found it, natural, whatever, right? But then it just kept going, Jeff, and it kept going, and I kept finding what we'll show here, right? And let me just keep going with the story arc. Found the trees, found the burial mounds. We've got all this evidence, which we're going to show everybody. To quickly keep moving the story of how we get to Antediluvian, Alabama. Well, life moves me. Life moved me up to Hoover, Alabama. When I get to Hoover, it moves me to Mountain Brook. When I get to Mountain Brook, I'll show you the videos. Mountain Brook is this big bourgeoisie neighborhood, Jeff. It's like, for Alabama, it is the most expensive zip code in Alabama, right? It can't be exaggerated for anybody who grew up here in the Southeast. I mean, it's like Beverly Hills, right? It's just big sprawls. The thing is, it's on a mountain, right? And so every yard almost has its own little piece of the mountain, these giant boulders and these rocks everywhere. Well, when you start to give these giant boulders and pieces of rock a little closer look, and you start to ask yourself, where do they come from? And then what are they? You start to see something. And I started to see something, right? So that prepped my mind, that along with the work of Graham Hancock, who, hey man, we bought a house in Mountain Brook to flip right at the top of the mountain. Okay. I'm going to show you the
Well,
photo.
that's cool.
It was cool. What I found inside was the gentleman had traveled all around the world, looking at megaliths and monoliths, and this stuff we're talking about, the echoes of lost civilization. And in his cupboard, he'd left a few things, those books, and the one Graham Hancock book I had yet to read, Underworld. I still have that copy here behind me, despite all the moves. What that showed me, as you'll see from the videos, was that man knew what was in his yard. Right. So staying chronologically now, my mind is now open. I have now moved on from the natives. I've moved to what Graham Hancock's work at least posited is something much older, this younger Dryas. So it's easy for me to see a high heat, high energy event. I get over, we get a house on the Cahaba River in a very strange triangular bend. Anybody pull up a map of the Cahaba River around Hoover? I'll show you in a bit, and you're going to see some very odd stuff. It's in a triangular bend right here. I get to the bottom of the bend. There's a giant rock. The rock has an X carved in it. Curiosity peaked. I look up, got cliffs going up 60 feet. There are rocks stuck in this cliff. And by rocks, I should say boulder, rocks bigger than this window. And, so your mind says, where did that come from? Right? How is that there? Across from that, I see I pull a map out and I see a triangular spot. You have a old deciduous forest with coniferous trees in a perfectly triangular shape. I climb over there, gentlemen, and I realize that instead of an earthen mound, this is a mound of these giant pieces of rock. And as I look at these pieces of rock, they have what appear to be pieces of drill holes in them. So now my mind is sort of totally open to some sort of antediluvian presence, and now even something that has come back to put him here. Now, as I go through and show this, we've done the research. We've looked for, rock mining, anything that could have put it there, and there is no mention whatsoever. After that, I took myself to North Alabama, to Mentone, where I started finding anomalies that included metal and stone, which to me are definitive proof of some sort of civilization which preceded us in a former epoch of time, most commonly these days called the before the younger Dryas, or the Antediluvian period, hence Antediluvian Alabama. Now, that little adventure drug me around. There were relationships, divorces, businesses, and failures, and me following what I call guidance as picked up in AA, one day at a time. And that's how I got to what we're about to take you through visually.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Screen share.
Hit the button. I'll hit the button.
I drank too much coffee, Jeff, but I wanted to get through that, and I wanted to do it fast.
Well, I'll be seeing these for the first time, so I'm excited. This will be cool.
Okay, so what the way I planned it, okay, for the audience especially too, check out my YouTube, check out my X to see much more up to date. Maybe we'll flag a couple here in the end. And I did a lot of the work for you. I've combined these videos. I've named them. It's much easier. So find me on YouTube. What I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to take you back to the earliest videos that I have on this phone anyway, and just kind of show you the little aha moments I was having, and then take you through the story I just told, really looking at the evidence. Okay, share. Don't want to leave.
Don't do that.
Present. There we go. Okay. Oh, slides and PDFs. I don't have those.
It should hit present and then share screen. And that should bring it.
Yep. Just want to be careful with personal info. I accidentally showed DMs on a screen last night. Nothing bad, just people's real names, and it's like they'll gotta delete that stream. Maybe. Gotta think about it. Yeah.
Yo, excuse me. I mentioned I'm recovering from a terrible infection, so excuse me. Yeah, it looks like I got everything here. YouTube, X, did that. It won't let me do
I subscribed. Yep.
screen.
I'll be checking it out.
But we will get to all that. As long as I can start with this Edge tab, we could just go straight into these old original videos. Yeah. Okay.
Select it and I'll put it up. There it is.
All right. Now let's, I'm used to doing this on mobile. We need to back you up, Hoss, or no, we need to, hang on. Back. There we go. Okay, let's take it back to, all right, the one called Rumble. This is just specifically, I'm pulling this up because it has some of the earliest videos I sent out. There is a portion of the story that archaeology as a whole is going to have to address. I don't try to make it a big portion of the story, but there were people that were reached out to out of my feeling of obligation before I decided that there was only a small group of people that I would reach out to. Yeah, I'm not going to speak more on it. It may come up, or you can feel free to ask about it. In my last video, Help Me Trust Archaeology Again, I left all names and I spoke about it openly and cleanly. But I started here just to show you sort of old school. This was after my incidents with mainstream, right? And so this just gives you an idea. I like it because it shows me reaching out. This was from 2023. And it sets the tone for you, if we can make it work. I'll just give you a moment of it.
Yeah.
Before we take a look at a couple of features of the pieces, this is just a reminder and a plea to whoever the audience is at this moment, which should be a very, very select few, I hope. What I have found so far is in danger. By that, I mean the earthworks. I have found large complexes, large mounds, which currently one is having a public supermarket put on it. The rest of the land, which I believe
already there
sat on,
Damn.
the complex I found, including the burial mound, which, by the way, that land is for sale for commercial development.
Still for sale.
This is all under threat. Under threat by people that don't care about it. So that is also another reason for my reaching out, is to try to save what we've got before it goes under the plow, just like all the rest of the earthworks here on this continent.
So the metal, I mean, it's just a quick look. So there are much better.
Wow.
Yeah, there are much better evidentiary videos. What I wanted to establish there, and I will not name the people that were reached out to in these means. Some of them were not known, some of them were, and in their own time, that's their business, you know. But this was after my encounters with mainstream, so it was not to them.
You can see just the multiplicity of types.
So I have an entire video dedicated to showing you, but this just shows you, this was 2023, early part of 2023. So it gives you a nice idea of how long I have been responsibly taking this, reaching out and continuing to save it from being washed away because a construction company cleared the space, is still clearing the space, and pushed all this into a creek, hoping no one would find it. I'd imagine, I guess. I cannot ascribe intent, you know, so no one, you know, get mad at me for that. All I can say is somehow all of this got put in a creek, and all of the mounds that would be mounds in a mound complex have houses on them now. So do your own math.
Damn.
There are also neighborhoods aplenty in the entire city who have had legal issues because graves are found and they have to stop developing. It is a known quantity in this area. This area is rife with native population. yeah. Not to get bogged down in that, but that is a pretty heavy part of the story, and so you see why I've been reaching out from the beginning, and yeah. So let's carry on with. Oh, not that one. That's you guys. Where are we? We're here. Okay, so
Okay.
now, so that I only brought this window up. This is cool. The pottery with writing in it. I've even got a better one of this. But while we're here, this looks like a
Oh,
script.
that's neat.
Yeah.
So
Full
this
screen that.
is a piece of pottery that I found. I haven't really done a video showcasing any of the pottery yet. So this is my favorite piece. I have since broken, as you can see. But my favorite because it has some sort of writing on it.
That's pretty neat.
As you can see.
Almost
Script.
If you
Yeah,
that way.
some sort. Right.
wonder if that's. Let me look something up quick.
And as I said earlier, which since has broken.
That's pretty neat. I hadn't seen that.
And I
Looks a little bit like runes or something like that.
I was just gonna say it's Elvish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the one ring. Yeah,
It's kind of looks like it a little bit.
it does. It does.
So that's all pottery you found in your river then?
yeah. So this
Here it
all comes from the side of Mabila. Every bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a damn shame it broke.
Yeah, well, I've moved a lot, bro, and I've got a lot. I have but a few pieces behind me. You're about to see if we allow ourselves to carry on. So onto the Mabila folder.
Yeah.
So this captures, again, we can go as deep or as light as you want. This captures early on. So I think we're back in like mainly late 22 here onto the time period you saw earlier. This is before July, because we're in a house that we had to leave due to a house fire. Long story, stuff's cursed, doesn't matter. I'll tell you on another show. Still looking for the cause. These would have been early documentation photos. These would have been photos that would have been sent via email to mainstream members. Again, just to show you some specifics, even of those, some of which I have behind me here.
I was gonna say that one on the middle right there, like a tube almost.
Here, you mean
It
here?
looks like a small funnel or something.
The other right.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of those where the top's
Yeah.
broken off.
Yeah, I saw in one of the first videos you showed there was something like that. It almost looked like it was a.
So in the chronology here, we will get to a video of me showing you quantity on down the road, and you'll see how much of all of this there is. This is just the first few pieces in the beginning that I thought were cool, man. This is we're nowhere near what it all turned out to be. This is enough to convince anybody to take a look, is what this is. But for instance, I have this piece here behind me. It looks the tip almost like a crossbow bolt, and if you remember, this entire town, right, was heated. These things were inside the buildings inside the town that DeSoto burned, right? It's all, that's the thing before we start looking at evidence. And in fact, I might just click through here.
Yeah.
Just to show you some of the early stuff. Go ahead.
Hold on, Jason. If you hit the top right of your screen there, you can full screen it. Makes the picture bigger. Top left, sorry.
It was, but here, let me see if I control
right next to the zoom in button there.
Hang on, I'm going to try a control.
Yeah, the two arrows
or something. The two arrows
on the screen there. You can
next to the scrolling bar in the upper left.
How about that?
Getting smaller now. Oh, that works.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are early photos that would have been taken to document and sent to like mainstream. Here you see now this piece I have behind me. This piece, the mound, what I call the burial mound, at the Mabila complex is this shape. This is a map on this sarcophagus-looking piece, and I've used LiDAR, and I have video of exploring this very piece, which we will look at here shortly. The very mound that matches this piece. So I will back that up for you by taking a cameraman with me and showing you. You have pieces of metal, right? And then you have various pieces of stone worked in different degrees, okay? Now, if again, it sort of goes on, and what happened to my arrows? There they are.
It's little.
Okay, so then metal artifacts again, just myself documenting, what I was pulling up. Right now, different types of metal was mainly kind of what I was trying to get at here. That you can't tell me it was just one type of metal, explosion or whatever naturally, because not only is it shaped, not only I call this little round guy first piece. If you see my pointer, how do I think shift or control
The bottom right.
Okay, yeah. So I find this guy, and when you look in close, I was in the tailgate of the truck in a parking lot waiting on someone, and you look in close, and you can see the metal melting away, and you can see the layers, and that was the time I cried. That was actually the moment that I knew this thing I'd been reading about Mabila was what I for sure had. The second time was when a dog dug this piece up for me, the rose sword hilt, which I have behind me here, and once I just call it a rose sword hilt for mainly because you see better in pictures, but some other type of metal, this is opening, right? And like ends there, like it held something, maybe a belt, and it's very shiny and melty on the back. The cool thing is the rose broke, right? And once you break it, you can see the different type metal alloy in the air and the harder metal that encased it. So it's not a iron concretion or whatever, not only does the shape not give it away. So it was this piece and first piece. This piece was dug up by a dog that doesn't dig on a night I went down to the creek. Look, dude, I swear I was sick of looking for this shit. Wait till you see how much I had at this point. I was sick. I had lost my connecting time, right? And so I take the dogs down there, and my only goal is to start a fire and like go back to just praying and releasing and cleaning me, I do that. And this dog will not let me be. He wants to go this way. And I'm like, no, I want to go that way. And the dog's barking. I'm like, fuck. We go that way. I'm like, all right, great sandbar. We sit on sandbar, man. And this dog that does not dig, not the digging dog, he starts digging. My head just going, said, don't get mad. Why is he digging? Oh, shit. All right. Reach my hand down in there. Piece of metal. All right. I'll put it in the water. Yeah, I'm going to look at it by the fire. Thanks. Most perfect piece yet. Like awesome. By that point, I didn't come down here for treasure hunting. It is pretty awesome. It really is. I say it with a sense of humor because that was my feeling in the moment, to make everybody, I'd like for everybody to know that, once you have your hands on something like this for a long time and your guidance, God, whatever is telling you to keep it to yourself, you live with it for a long time, and it just becomes like anything else, it's just here. So, but yes, the way it happened was beautiful. It made sure I didn't miss. And now let's race through so that we are respecting time of everyone. You're going to see here, once we get through these, this one is just so cool, man. You see this worked. This is quartz, if you can't tell in this picture, and it's been worked into a little seat, and it's got metal. Again, this stuff was inside of their houses, right? So when everything falls, when everything burns, everything mixes together with this nearly molten metal. Now, to the amount at this stage of the game, there. Okay, so you're starting to see now.
So you must have a truckload of stuff.
Yeah, basically. I've got one quick video that I'll show you the amount in, and then we'll roll on. So at that time, so when I took it to the Southeast Archaeological Conference in Little Rock, Arkansas, after the mainstream had emailed me back that I had not found Mabila, that it was indeed iron concretions, I found out that Vernon Knight, the guy who wrote or edited the Chronicles behind me, was going to be there. And so I went and I bought tickets and I took everything in mail crates. Long story short, he was speaking on shamanism. And so I was really happy. I thought for a second, because guidance had told me there'd be a wizened one, and I was really happy for a second. But I got in there, long story short, and when he was talking on shamanism, he was kind of rolling his eyes. He wasn't taking it seriously. He was making fun of it. And so I immediately knew that I was not bringing it to this man. And then I began wondering why I was there. And so I asked why I was there. And I was told to get up and say that I am shaman. And I have found Mabila. And I have brought it here to you today. And he said he'd look at it when he was done. And I left the room before, security could show up, and I left my stuff. And the same report came that I had not found Mabila. There was no native items, and these were naturally occurring iron concretions. I knew in that moment what my role was going to be, and that's what I meant by keeping it secret. I knew what I had, Jeff. I didn't need anybody to tell me what I had. When I had the two people that were on record as looking for it tell me I didn't have it, I knew there was probably a reason for that. So I just
they want to be the ones that say they found it.
So, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to ascribe intention, and I'm not here to harp on this part of the story. But what it did to me, Jeff, and that's what's important. What it did to me was I kept going, bro, and I made it my everything. It took over. It became finding Chief Tuskaloosa. It became learning about this territory. It became mapping out the route, doing things the rest haven't been able to do. Find Piachia, find Attahachie, document it, prove it, learn the territory, commune with the natives, find out who they were, discover these islands in the Coosa River. It's been dammed, so they flood it for kayakers. But when the water's down, there's islands of quartz rocks. I've got a couple here. This is the quartz doesn't come triangle out of the side of the hill. You know what I mean? And it's a whole mountain. I don't know if you can see the quartz crystals in this petrified piece of wood that's been shaped like a human bone. Yeah, it's this island of this stuff, man, on the river that separated Tuscaloosa from Coosa, right? So that's what I began doing, was finishing the job. And instead of dealing with the fact that someone labeled mainstream for whatever reason, they were the ones people were looking to. I don't know. I didn't take it personal. I just kept going with what I knew I had. And I was doing the job I was given, which was learn more about DeSoto and more importantly, the great Chief Tuskaloosa than had yet been made known to the public. Right. So yeah. Fast forward, let's get out of this phase. Oh yeah, that's another cool one. Little clip. Okay, so again, now this is the mound. Okay, this is the backside. I have a great video I'll pull to later shortly to show you where Nick is filming me, and you can really see the mound. This is the creek everything was found in. I'm not stopping on any of the videos. I'm just letting the audience get visuals. And this is what I was shooting for. A mount.
Pottery in there.
Pottery, even of different ages. But this is how I would handle sorting everything in the beginning. I'd gather a bucket on my own, bring the bucket back, and loosely break it into native, meaning daub or worked stones of various sorts, pottery, metal, and then metal mixed with stone. I call those two cultures one piece. They're kind of my favorite, especially when several of them look quite artistic. Honestly, they have beautiful natural worked stone in them, trapped with metal, and you can display. It's a beautiful artifact, and it represents the battle itself. The clash in one piece. So two cultures, one piece. You see through here. Minding time again in the field. Okay, so here's a nice piece of ceramic, pottery work. See if there's audio. Good morning from Pine Creek, Mabila, and the burial grounds. I just wanted to give you a shot here of more pottery and more Spanish metal. Beautiful morning, and as I said, it does not take a genius to realize what we have on our hands here. Okay, so that gives you just a look at me on gathering. So just imagine a few years of that, man, and you've got that time period covered up. Is me just out there doing that whenever life afforded. You see me ripping my shoes off and just grabbing what I could. Because the creek was constantly washing and moving it, breaking apart. There's a good shot at a bunch of the quantity I was starting to amass at that point.
I guess so.
That was years ago. We're still back in 23 there. And there's a good picture.
That's that stone you were talking about with the mound, right?
The really cool piece, when I take you to the mound, you're going to see that. You see this little squiggly bit right here?
That looks like the Omega symbol to me, anyway.
Yeah, well,
Little bit.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? This squiggly bit also represents water that flows in when the water's up. That's why
okay.
I call it a map, not just an effigy piece, because it even indicates where the water flows in. I believe this is a play. Yeah, so I found this in the middle of the creek on my way out one day after a massive rain. So the back of the mound is being washed out thanks to the construction you'll see in video, and much is coming out.
Now, do you typically find a lot of arrowheads at all, or is it mostly just pottery shards?
Yeah, mostly just pottery shards.
Yeah, and the rocks, the concretions.
Yeah, I'm
no,
not actually out exploring the what would have been the battle site itself, right? Plus, you've got to think based on the geoengineering that took place here after the battle. Okay, so I'll show you the marker trees. Right, there's some impressive marker trees. It took a while. The mound itself, and we know the population was decimated. I mean, DeSoto sat there for 30 days and killed everything. Right, he went around like 30 miles. Wiping everything out, burning everything and killing everything. It was decimated, right? So whatever force did reassemble to do these memorials, they obviously were there for a while, and they were scavenging all usable materials, right? Without a doubt. So how much battle paraphernalia that survived, would you find? I'm not sure. Also, I'm not up on where the town would have been. This is why I indicate that somebody wanted this in the creek. Some of it has come out due to natural erosion, due to the construction being pushed over. But no, I don't get actually out, looking for the arrowheads. But I imagine most usable things would have been scavenged, unless they were like this and meant to be left behind for memorial.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can really see the clay. It's hardened clay on the back there.
So you're saying that would serve almost like a pendant, essentially a memorial?
Yeah, it's like a hit.
Or,
Yeah, I mean, it's sure. Come to the funeral, take this away. It marks his burial.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I call it a memorial piece. I think once you see the mound, and you realize this came out of that mound, it's the word that seems to fit.
Pretty neat.
So you've got to look at that. We'll move on and on towards the mound. This was just a closer look at this piece. It shows you the shiny aspect, which you don't get when I hold it up to this camera. As soon as I flip it over.
Yeah, it almost does look like like you said, like a rose hilt.
Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
And really, really shiny, on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, and if DeSoto was burning everything, like you said, everything that's inside these buildings is gonna be at a certain temperature. Shit melts, for lack of better words.
Yeah, he absolutely burned everything. So, in fact, I have. You may not care to see, but I have you describing the battle being filmed. I don't know if that's anything you want to pay any attention to now. I don't know what I've got. Let's look at the actual what I call now I've got a little artifact table.
Yeah. You may have to control zoom back in.
Yeah, I'll fix it all. Let me get it opened up. So
okay. Here, I'll take your
have
screen off for now.
No, hang on.
What you gotta do? Oh, you got something?
Here's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to pull you back up. Yeah, I'm figuring out how to work these multi-windows, man. But first I need to pull you up. Right. Okay. Now I got to minimize you. I hope that doesn't hurt anything.
Nope. You're good. I pulled what you had off the table or off the screen.
I'm gonna open artifacts, and then I'm gonna open drone, and then I'm gonna open you.
So while you're doing that, Jason, I was just watching the chat, and I saw Ricardo and Rue talking back and forth about Michael Button's new video.
Yeah, it's on Copper. Rue sent me a heads up on it. Yeah.
So I think if we have time at the end, we can after we get done with your
go ahead, man. That'll let me reset.
That'll give us down to quite a long rabbit hole, I think. So I'd rather
Yeah, Jeff, I think you've talked about Copper once or twice on this channel.
A couple of times.
A couple times.
Once or twice. Yeah.
So guys,
if we have time at the end here, we'll definitely
let me look at the chat. Still got Tammy.
Oh, we got our buddies in the chat, Cole Hauser and Wayfarer.
Yep.
Good to see those
Fraser,
guys.
Wayfarer.
Don't
Praise
name
the
who,
Lord.
Shaman. I didn't, Rue. I didn't.
Nope, it's still the same one you had up.
I did not name them.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, Michael Button released a new video referencing, as Rube says here, the Bronze Age copper theory, something Ricardo recently released a leading paper for peer review. And they were saying, I watched the video, I didn't hear any Ricardo's name by any means, or the only person that he named specifically was Rick Osman.
Yeah, no, I think it was just being presented as a great opportunity for Ricardo to try to share his paper. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Not a slight, but an opportunity.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that it is now a scientific fact that if you look for positivity, it rewires your brain to look for positivity without you trying? So trying to be optimistic literally rewires your brain to being optimistic. Ain't that?
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
I gotta try that sometime.
Yeah. Worldview.
I read the mainstream article yesterday, man.
Nope.
Yeah.
Having self-discipline with your worldview eliminates the need for external, medical intervention and other stuff. And it's just really, I agree. Yeah, it's good to be positive.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that.
Amen to that.
I don't want to ban.
Always preaching against black pilling, as they call it.
There you
the
go.
constant negativity feed. You want to stay positive.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm into the black pill a little bit from the sense of fuck them all. None of them are like us,
Oh yeah. No, that's also about being realistic too. But
I'm into my house for dinner by choice. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Less so if they-
Manifesting the healing of a broken arm. No.
Yeah, Tammy, I knew you had something broken. Prayers,
sorry to hear that.
Godspeed,
Yeah.
your recovery, dear. You follow us on all these shows, and we really appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Did you have your next?
yeah.
ready here?
So all this is, guys, is this now will show you a much more professional quality video of some of the artifacts laid on the table, and it'll show you the quantity. And I talked for about 2 minutes describing how they were burned and why they look like that. Nick, shout out Nick from Occult Rejects. I think he's on his own show right now. He graciously came down and spent really a whole day filming with me. So we got filled drone footage and all kinds of stuff.
Okay. You'll have to remove your.
I think from that page I can guide it. So if you just
if you want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, it's still on there. Sorry. Nope. Hey, you got her.
Yeah, and then I just gotta remember how to let's see. When I went down here, hang on, let me find it. There it is. Okay, so I can leave you where you are, and I can go right there to artifacts. Bingo. And the one with the doors is what we want.
It didn't change screens. I think you might have to remove from this present.
Okay.
And put a new one up. So I can take it off. You'll have to remove yours from the stage and then select
Okay, got
the page.
Okay, so I've got this one open, so let me unpresent. StreamYard is the okay, and present. Stop. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, you're up. Now you should be able to hit present again, and then
Share
select the
screen.
new page you want to show.
And hopefully, okay, tabs. It is a edge tab, or no, it's window. There. Hopefully, yes. Coosa River maps. Wait a minute. Why is that one not? Of all the windows, why is that one not open? That's fucking weird.
I stream every week and I still can't figure it out. So,
Yeah, there's everything's
okay.
especially
Hold
when
on.
people use
One last
different,
thing to try. I'm
streaming.
going to make him a
programs too.
window. You are a window. You're like a big window with all the rest of the big windows. I'm going to close all the windows I don't want right now. How about that?
Perfect. Joke's on you as it goes
Backdrop,
in a
you
lake.
don't want to hear the story. Now, you're a big boy window with all the other big boy windows. Okay. And we're going to bring up StreamYard and you're going to be available with all the big boy windows. Artifacts. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Somebody give him a fucking cookie. He graduated. All right. Artifacts. Share audio as well. Important. Learn that lesson. Great. The gray with the
There it
door.
is.
And back where we started. Let me get you past our BSing. Okay. So whenever I start talking and we
This 900 to
Not seeing video at all. It's just showing the screen with your different videos on it.
okay. We have talked about the battle. We have talked about how
Yeah, I'm
absolutely
hearing it.
everything.
Yeah, we can hear it, but I can't see it.
900
Yeah,
to
we're not
11
seeing the video.
army, more. What are the words they use?
You're not seeing it?
More
No.
better
We're not seeing
can
it.
hear
No.
it.
equipped than any
Huh.
expedition.
We're seeing the tab of your camera roll with all the thumbnails of all the other little videos.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's try this.
all of
Okay. So you might have to pull up the video on a show and then share that. This is a process.
We're working
folks,
it
we're
out.
working on it. Yeah.
People are patient. People are nice.
Yeah, and if they're not, well, that's their problem.
That's very true too.
Yeah, you might have to
Good to see everybody in the chat though.
pull up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. You're awesome. So, Jason, what you might have to do is
Hey,
pull up-
baby.
There, you got it. I think you got it now.
Okay, that's it
There it
now.
is. That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
let me close the other one because we are overlapping audio bad. Boom. Okay, now where are you guys? You're right there, and we're good.
The clip.
There we go. That's some good quality footage too.
Hey.
Perfect.
Okay, a daughter just showed up. Let me move the mic. As soon as I get to the right place for these
Oh, wow.
guys, because I finally fixed it. There.
This 900 to 11 man army, more, what are the words they use? More better outfitted and equipped than any expedition that had set foot yet in the New World. It was like being with a traveling city. All of that stuff was inside the 80 houses that DeSoto decided to set fire to, burning everything they had with them. Priests, everything you need for communion, blacksmiths, keep the 350 horses shoed. We had hundreds of pigs, we had cooks, we had cutlery, we had metal, we had armor.
Okay,
None of it was
so
on the
that's me explaining what all this stuff could be and how it happened.
all into a creek. What would you expect to find? Let's take a look. Here we have laid out, Nick, since you're mobile, let's first give them an idea of what we're talking about in quantity, I think. So they say when you're looking for Mabila, what do the experts say? How will you know? Well, you will have more metal than you know what to do
fucking
with.
do with.
The official academics who are hunting for Mabila 60 miles that way have found a quarter of a horseshoe. Now, what I have found, I've laid out a few pieces here on this table so you get an idea of the different types. And we'll review the table. But Nick, if you want to give everybody
Yeah, the table's
an idea,
just a sampling. You
I
can
have
grab anything out of these
examples.
buckets. It's the same
These
stuff.
buckets are full of metal. I have one more here.
This is just new. I had to keep it separate from what I showed you earlier because it'd been through a
Last
house fire.
bucket, which was brought up a couple of weeks ago. I left here so you could see the randomness, the different types of metal, how these sheets have the quartz
Little
rock stuck
clay
in them
pieces
from
of
where they were
stuck into it.
lying on the ground when they burned. Here with the clay, this big hunk with the various quartz pieces stuck inside, and all the other features on the table. But this is a random
Okay, so
over the past few years.
that bucket to the left,
Here,
I
we're
didn't
not
show
done
you.
yet.
That's the one I was skipping. So that was 3 large buckets.
Okay.
A little bit more than horses,
There,
right?
that one.
And
then-
this is what one man with these buckets has brought up over the
All by
past few
myself,
years,
correct.
right?
And then all
Yeah,
of those
we're not done
buckets
yet.
behind me are that stuff I showed you earlier
Here.
that went through the house fire.
Full to the brim. All of these buckets and
Just to keep
this
them
cooler with your
non-contaminated.
equipment is chock full. The reason they're separated is this saw a house fire, and so there's likely carbon contamination. So I've kept it separate. This was some of my first gathered stuff over here.
Okay, so there's your quantity, guys.
That's a lot.
We can zoom in on just a couple of interesting specifics and move on.
Let's look at the metal. The main thing to try to point out as we go through this is just the multiplicity of types of metal that you see exhibited, right? There is not just iron. There is not just one type.
This
Only
full
way I
video
really
hasn't
start
been
is to
shown
dig it.
anywhere, Jeff,
So
by the
first
way.
things
really?
I put my hands
Yeah,
on.
this particular
Usually I
one
like
with
to display
facts.
the hollow nature of a lot of
UPNorth
this.
North exclusive.
That's
Right.
right.
Exclusive footage. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The hollow.
Oh, this is
yeah.
awesome. I like
This
that.
is a striking piece. You can see these bubbles represented here. I like these pieces. I've got several to show you because whatever this was propped on was not metal, as exhibited by the fact that I can stick my finger in there and pull out the carbon from the fire. Okay, now you'll see this carbon present on many of these pieces. This odd looking thing, which had something in here, right? You see the carbon.
So, Rue, I started in the beginning about how we're starting. I told the story of how I walked from DeSoto, and then we're going to get to the Antediluvian and then the difference here. We're ending DeSoto now with showing the remnants from the battle.
Starting here, you flip it around. That was the case. This was obviously on a stick, a pole, something which carbonized when it all burned. So the carbon feature exhibits on a lot of these pieces. What I've tried to do is
So
close,
just
man. We have, I call
There's
this
that first piece again.
first piece. That's how I've referred to it before. Because I was, after gathering all of this,
see,
you know, you start
this is
picking
next
up these
to it.
pieces.
all
and
this
I wasn't
type of
looking
metal
for
is obviously
Mabila,
just melted.
right? I'm down there on this creek connecting with God.
Just turned it down a little bit as well.
I'm gonna move you along.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
ahead,
there's
Jeff.
something that we should have done at the beginning. Because for people that don't know what Mabila is,
yeah,
Got a triangle.
yeah.
we'll
And
get to
I've
that.
got what is either clay.
So I have video doing it, but instead I can probably do it much quicker here. Yeah. So the Battle of Mabila, 15. What was it? 40. Gosh, I can't even pull
I
up.
think it was 1540.
Yeah, 40 even.
Yeah.
Okay, so 600 to 900 men, Spanish and Portuguese, depending on the chronicler. You know, the numbers vary. According to this source here, up to 1,100 men, including servants, disembarked with DeSoto. But the consensus is 600 fighting men. So we'll just say 600 to 900 men. He was come to be a conquistador, take over the town. Charlotte, do you want to stay and I bring you home? Sorry, my daughters are taking off.
Oh, good.
We'll be done by 9. Okay, all right. Okay, I love you. Sorry, in the middle of this. Love you, baby.
The life of a father there.
Well, I'm doing it all for them. Anybody that's watching and listening, they won't get on screen, but they know that all of this is for them. I'm alive because of them, and I'm here because of them. So, you know, it's what we're doing. So, Mabila, back to Mabila, which involves a father and a son. So, DeSoto does his thing, rampaging through the southeast. He starts in Florida, goes up through what we know as South Carolina, raping, pillaging, taking chiefs as prisoner, eating what he wants. Basically being a pretty bad dude, but describing an incredible population. What first strikes me about reading the DeSoto Chronicles is the way that they describe these natives, the way they are dumbfounded would be a word from our parlance when it comes to how these men speak and respond to them, and to the importance they put on valor, and to the way that their actions, you know, their deeds mimic their words. You know, these Spanish Western men say that many of these chiefs speak and conduct themselves in ways that would put to shame any member of court back home. You know, out of his terrible, you know, campaign, the glimpse to me of the natives, this is first contact, you know. And the problem I found, guys, with reading about this first contact with Hernando DeSoto and the natives of this area was it did not match up to the narrative that school had prepared me with at all. I was learning about an amazing, well-organized civilization that existed here in numbers that they certainly did not indicate. But then later, my on-foot analysis, you know, proved out to me that these dudes right here were telling what they saw, and there was a lot of people here. Anyhow, so they continue through the southeast, and they arrive to Coosa's territory, which is here in Alabama, right over here, about 12 miles from me. We have Elmore, the end of Elmore County, and the Coosa River. We entered the town of Chief Tuskaloosa. Now, Tuskaloosa, the chief, was reported to be half a vara, right, higher than the tallest Spaniard. A vara could be equated to a meter, right? So they're saying this dude's 1.5 feet. Every chronicler makes sure to say the term well proportioned. They say he is well proportioned. So they are delineating for you. We are not talking about gigantism, right? They go on and on. I won't take time, but I have passages saved for the beauty they ascribe to him, the well-proportionedness, the eyes like oxen. They try to find a horse for the man, and they can't find a horse that can bear his weight. They have to get like the largest fucking pack horse to even bear his weight. And then they say his feet are basically hanging the ground, right?
Wow.
They go ahead.
As you say, I was watching a video earlier where you tell this story, and I audibly laughed when you told that part. His feet were dragging on the ground.
Yeah. It's big, and his son was you know nearly that tall. Maybe you know if he was 1.5 feet, his son would have been 1 foot or somewhere around there. Well, his son gets sent on an envoy to meet DeSoto at the crossing point into the territory. DeSoto crosses after being told, this is key, really. The son comes and he says, "My father's waiting for you at Attahachie. We need you to take. There's 2 roads. Send a man down and come back. Choose which is better for you." DeSoto at first is like, you know, they're like, "No, really, please choose which road's better for you. We want you safe and comfortable." DeSoto acquiesces, all right? But also right there at that point, now they've got DeSoto's trust, right? See, the big part of this story for me that I like to highlight, we've always highlighted what DeSoto did, and we've missed what the natives did. Right. So right there in that moment, they got DeSoto's trust. Okay. They forced him to pick the best route. He gets to Attahachie, and in comes this army of 600 men, horses, weapons, dogs of war, blood stains. Right. Tuskaloosa is sitting on a little mound there, and they say he's on a little squat stool. And he's down, and he's talking with his chiefs, his lieutenants, and he doesn't even look at them, won't even look at them. Now I say to people like this, they had never seen this, like quite literally. They had never seen this horse and this armor and this thing before them. It would be like a UFO, you know, landed on our yard, and you and I just decided, fuck them. Fuck them. They came to see us, damn it. So he does. DeSoto gets off, and at that point, Tuskaloosa stands up to go greet him. DeSoto does what he does. They basically, without force, right, but through essential coercion, they take the chief's slave, and they move until they get to the next territory. They let the chief go. Well, they also demand lots of sex slaves. They were into human trafficking and rape big time. So they asked for sex slaves, and they asked for slaves. Burden bearers was the term they like to use, to carry all their shit for them. So they were mass slave traders and sexual human traffickers. They take these along with them, and some of them, they made it all the way to damn Mexico with them, and then they just left them to be killed by the other tribes. Anyway, DeSoto says, Tuskaloosa says not here. Tuskaloosa is called the last mound builder because it is said that in Attahachie, that was new. Those were new mounds. So he said, not here. I have a satellite town. And so he takes him to an area known as, through a couple of small towns for 2 days. They then go to a town called Piachia, which Mainstream is looking for. I've found, They cross the river. They're actually tricked into crossing the river. I have drone footage just where I show you this large bit that pours into the river. And here we should have started with maps. I'll pull up maps and show you. They cross the Piazza, and then they go up to Mabila. What happens at Mabila? They all get inside Mabila, and listen, Kusa, the territory they had been in before, Kusa was a kiss ass. Kusa used the forces to like fight his enemies, gave them whatever they wanted. You know, he was that type, total politician, right? Was Kusa. Okay. So they get to Tuscaloosa's territory, and Tuscaloosa is just stone cold acquiescing, you know, right? Not giving away anything. So everybody in the army is tired and they're used to peace. Right. So all the burden bearers have everything. The burden bearers have the weapons. They have the armor. They have literally everything, the blacksmith shit. And the guys, the 600-man army, has got their shirts on, you know, maybe a bow or just some shit for some rabbit. You know, one guy's there to kill. Right. But they're essentially lollygagging. Right. Slow to rise from camp, enjoying their coffee. Tuscaloosa takes roughly 100 men on horse, fully armored, right, to Mabila. Tuscaloosa has said he's tired of sleeping in the field. Okay. He has spies tell him there's something strange going on at Mabila. Okay. They have cleared the earth outside of the town. Right. And there appear to be a lot of people in these houses. All right. He says, I don't care. I'm tired of sleeping in the field. That's how cocky he's gotten. See his methodology. They said about him that he joyed and took pride in lancing natives. He loved it when shit went south so he could hop on his horse and lance them. He goes inside this town with this 100 men, and all these slaves and burden bearers are there with them. All the rest of the men are way back. The slave and burden bearers stay right outside the door with the shit. Hernando goes in. Hernando's ready to have dinner. He gets shown his house. Okay. It's time for dinner, but he's not going to eat until the chief is with him. That's how prideful this dude is. Okay, he's not going to eat. So he sends somebody to get DeSoto. Go to DeSoto, knock on the door. DeSoto's dude answers the door and says, what the fuck? And he says, I need to see your chief. He says, how dare you put his name in your mouth? Bye. Right? And that's the gist of it. Guy goes back, tells DeSoto, what does DeSoto do? DeSoto says, we'll give it 5. Gives it 5. Go again. 3 times this happens. Okay. Back and forth, and it ends with the natives telling you, you do not, no. This is our chief. This is our town. This is not how it works. You don't come and ask this shit. Bye. All right. The guy himself gets tired of going back and forth. So here comes time. Number 4. DeSoto still, can you picture this? Here in this land, and a native, by the way, they said there were 50 to 60 long houses. Okay. And they guessed 1,000 men could fit, not we're in, 1,000 to 1,500 men could fit in each, right? That's what size longhouse you're talking about, right?
That's big.
About the size of McMansions that are leading over there. They say that the horses couldn't keep the horses in there because it was streets just like a European city. And with all the men in the houses with the bows and arrows, the horses were useless. They couldn't navigate the streets. Anyhow, let's go back to this 4th dude who has now been back and forth 3 times because fucking jackass over here is demanding a chief come sit at this cold meal. Right. So what does he do? He gets sent on the 4th mission and he just steps out the front door. So he just grabs somebody by the cloak. There's an important looking one. Hey, where the fuck's your chief? Food's cold. Well, that dude jerks back and says, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but that's not how we. And by that time, Mr. 4th time had it. And he reaches out a sword and he takes the arm clean off that dude that just wouldn't answer him the right way. Okay. Meantime, according to spies who later had been, interrogated afterwards, according to spies, DeSoto was in there trying to decide to kill the few Spanish that are in here now or to wait till they all got here. Some people thought it best, since we're trying to get them all, let's just get the ones that are here now and then get the rest when they get here. Tuscaloosa and some others were like, it was more honorable to get them all. So that battle is kind of waging out. And apparently there's a little faction that's going, no, Tuscaloosa, you got to get the fuck out of here because if it goes south, you have to make it. And he was like, no. Now, apparently, last minute, they get him out of there. Okay. So we know Tuscaloosa survives according to all known reports, right? His son does die, though. Now, back to the arm sliced. What happens? The go order is given. So now these thousands, right? Numbers vary. Sometimes say 3,000, some say 11 and 13 and 14. Okay. Thousands of Indians open fire. Right now, you've got 100 men on horse, and you've got DeSoto on the ground. You've got people trapped in the house. They're managing this thing. There's 12 people, clerics and like maids, get bombarded in the house. DeSoto running for his life, right? They get all the Indians come out of the house, bum rush him to there's 2 doors. They say inside the walls of this town, east, west, right? So the one they came in, they get basically bum rushed out. Says DeSoto, when he got out, had over 30 arrows in his cloak. So when we say got out by the skin of his teeth, we mean it, right? It just barely with his life. And of course, all his armored men and the horses get out. While they were busy getting out, circling around, wondering what the hell, the natives saw all the burden bearers with all their shit sitting right outside the door. And so they got all those native burden bearers and all that shit, and they brought it inside, and they started like cutting the chains and freeing all the slaves and opening all the weapons and getting all the cachets, even going up on the wall, playing their drums. We've got it all, bitches. You know what I mean? Taking it into houses and divvying it up. You know, like everybody's getting harmed. And so that's important to looking at this evidence, right? To remember it's everything. And it was inside this town all throughout it, right? Over the next few hours, it spread. Now, meanwhile, DeSoto out back, his men show up and he's got a problem. His men don't have any armor. They don't have all of their weapons. They've got shirts on their backs because everything's inside, right? Now, he's got a tough choice. These walls have been barricaded. He's got armored men on horses. He orders them. He takes these armored men. He says, get down. You're the only ones with armor. And I need you to go bust that door open. Okay. So those 100 men go and bust that door open, despite some injury. They then go back and get on their horses and they attempt to raid to go in to rescue the stuff, right? Otherwise, what are they going to do? Well, they get in and this is where the description that mainstream will tell you. In fact, there's a cliff note in here that says this is a blatant exaggeration. There's no cliff notes in here, dude. There's like 2. One of them is this town couldn't have been this big. Anyway, they say they have no success because the horses cannot operate the narrow streets. That's the other thing. It sounds European. Narrow streets, you know, just big houses like you'd think they'd be. So the horses have to retreat. It's useless. They're losing men. They can't do anything. Now, what do we do? Well, DeSoto decides to burn it. DeSoto knew he had resupply down in the Gulf of Mexico at that time, south of Mobile. Okay, there was resupply coming or there, right? Something, but he had that knowledge. So for whatever reason, he makes a move. Naturally, I think it's because he's so pissed off that all this just happened. He burns the town, right? Everything burned. Everything that belonged to that army burned in that town. They had nothing remaining. They sat around for 30 days, cutting open the bodies of the dead natives to tend to their own wounds. They spent 30 days going around burning every habitation they could find. They spent 30 days finding every moaning, screaming native in the woods and killing them. They found any able-bodied ones that knew anything, brought them back for interrogation before killing them so that they could have 30 days of peace. That's native. So that's what we're talking about, chat. That great battle. It is known as one of the greatest battles ever on American soil before the Civil War. Certainly death numbers range from, 100 and so on DeSoto's side. And like I said, natives, when you read the mainstream numbers, you're going to find yourself going anywhere from like 25 to 15,000. Even the chroniclers have quite a variation, That's the Battle of Mabila. So far, this metal, which I had brought up, is what remains.
I've found that they also do petrified wood pieces.
So what you see here is what I call two cultures, one piece. You have a triangular melted piece of metal with a native clay or potentially petrified wood that has been melted into it. So these pieces, let me show you here. These pieces. So when I have metal, right, like this, and again, you can see the shape of whatever this was before it broke off here, right? Okay. Now, if it's sitting on the ground or if it fell and it gets really hot, what's it going to do? It's going to pick up what's on the bottom. And you can even see where some of the clay pieces and the rocks have fallen out. So now we know what streets in this town most likely look like because this shit was sitting on it when it got hot and it trapped a few pieces.
That's pretty neat.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
and then tractor moves it and gets in creek and tumbles a little bit, and this dude picks it up.
No, I mean, before we continue on about just
Obviously,
that whole story with Battle of Mabila, it is unbelievable. I never knew about that until I actually came across before we even first talked in person, when I was following your posts on X. That's the first time I'd ever heard of it.
Yeah.
So, and I know, like you said, you hadn't heard of it before. That just shows that it's something that isn't really known to most people, and I think it should absolutely be.
Yeah, it's something that really, the plan that was put in place, and I'm not going to go into the video here. We'll probably cut Mabila here, man, because we're at an hour and a half, and I know we want.
Yeah, we might have to eventually down the road do a part two.
But I'll direct anybody. I think we will, Jeff. I will direct anybody to my YouTube page to find a presentation I did a while back with Universe Unveiled, where I showed all of other than this. I showed all the backstory, and I showed the drone footage and all the towns I mapped out, and a couple of really cool maps I have, which are probably important. If let's see, can it all show as we wrap here? How do I do share one more time? Bring you guys back up. Yeah, I direct you to the YouTube, my YouTube page, to check out my Finding Mabila presentation, and there you guys are. I think no, there's all these other folders.
I'll share it. All your links as well are in the description for the video. So if you're looking to try to find Jason's,
there
YouTube,
you are.
X,
Okay,
all that stuff.
So share screen, the bomb.
Stuck here, and whatever this was. And now these two cultures, one piece, go on and on. If you can see the hollow there, I don't know if that shows, Nick, through there. Yep. But this is like looks like a block.
No, that's
sort of
the DeSoto.
Hold on.
That's okay. I'll stop. That's gonna get messy.
I was gonna say I had two of them pulled up. I didn't know you could bring up two shares at
Yeah,
once.
it's gonna get messy. Quicker way. That way would have the map. Let's do that. Let's go back there, and then let's get it smaller where I can actually read it. There. Okay.
Next, keep going.
Maps.
This is it. Yep.
Okay, so now let's get everybody grounded. Now that you've got the story and everything, I have a map of Alabama in here somewhere, just Alabama. That I just added. Yeah, here. Okay. So this is a beautiful map put together by Nathan. You guys done some editing for me, if I can bring it up. Do you guys have a map in front of you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So every place I've just mentioned, I'm going to show you real quick. So Mabila and
maximize
Creek.
the screen.
Maximize.
Nope. Oh, you just pulled yours out. I think you're good like that.
Okay.
Perfect.
So
I just maximized the screen. So
the creek you've just seen video of, and I realize I haven't showed you the crescent mound yet. We might do that for a split second. Is here, right? Now, Piaccia, identified in the chronicles by these 40-foot plus cliffs, plus the mounds that are still present. I'll show you in LiDAR. Again, it's in my presentation, guys. Piaccia would have been here. Now, Mabila would have been right here. Okay, so the beautiful part of the plan, that's why I brought this up, is when you realize that once DeSoto decided here that he needed to get to this town he was prepping here, he was going to bring them down onto this peninsula. They cross here. Now, if you were in 1540 in a canoe and you crossed here, even though this is the Alabama River, they described it as the same river that ran by Tallahassee, which is right back here, this river. He crossed here and then back up to Mabila. Now, what it seems to me he was planning was whatever went down here, DeSoto would have no idea and never find his new town because he would have thought a river crossing was necessary, you see? Now, however, I believe DeSoto, when he spent 30 days here, he circled 30 miles, burning everything. He then found Attahachie. When I found the main mound, I also found proof of burning charcoal underneath daub. So burned. Okay. All right. So he burned this and discovered that Tuskaloosa had taken him on this route, this goose chase. Why I think that is important is after spending 30 days here with his army having nothing, dudes, nothing, no supply. Nothing. And today, a 2.5-hour drive south to Mobile Bay, basically afloat down this very river here. Okay, make rafts float this very river. He had resupply waiting. He had full boats. Now he made the decision to turn north. I think it was twofold. I think it was because he knew that there would be mutiny when he got back because they'd found no gold, and he was enraged. The man was an obvious psychopath, and when he learned that this giant had not only nearly taken his life right here, but had beat him right nearly, and that it started on this wild goose chase, I think he was enraged, and I think he said, "No, fuck it, we're going north," and that's what happened, and he died, and they threw him in the Mississippi.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Mabila.
Sweet.
So what happens next? What happens next is we go back to our original format. And we go share, and then we
It's
go.
a wicked windy river too. I'm impressed by that geography. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now if I go back to photos and I move this real quick,
Itself, and as it melted
back to where I can read.
That one out of there. No, I don't want to do that.
Okay, so now what happens next is I get moved to Hoover, Alabama, guys, and I can burn through this pretty quick. A couple of weird things happen in Hoover. All right, but it starts with, I may need to start in the LiDAR. It starts with a bend in the river, and let's jump over here to maps and LiDAR. Okay, now I told you in the story about how I got a house in the bend in the river, and I found signs. Namely, there we go. Okay, so let's bounce between these two and tell the story. So, namely, when I'm exploring down below the house, I find this. Okay. Now, once you clean these out, I have no way to describe this other than cut marks. I've got a video of this. Again, check Antediluvian, Alabama, where I dusted out. I don't know how else this got here if it wasn't cut, right? So I call them saw marks. Doesn't mean they are. It's just the word I use. Because when you're there in person,
it doesn't look organic by any means whatsoever. No.
Yeah.
I was gonna say even the tops of the top of them
Almost looks like a
lines are
millstone, to be honest, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you would have used it for processing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's right here. And see, here's another block I dug up that's round. I've still got this one with me. I brought it with me. One of these is a quick video just to show you what walking around down there kind of looks like. I don't want to get any of these long ones here, but some of these I really kind of like see the water. Okay, what's important here is what I first saw. And it's not going to play.
iCloud's nice, but a lot of times it's a pain in the ass.
Okay, well, what I first saw when I started exploring, I see that X, right? I see, if you look in here, I see these odd pieces of rubble. Now, you'll notice over here sand, and sand starts kind of back in here, but you got rubble, rubble, rubble. And let's go back to where I can see. All right, so, all right, that's moss rock. Yeah, you've got geese. The geese probably show the rubble pretty good. Oh, he's not going to play. That's right. What are you doing, iCloud?
Oh, Jeff.
Uh-oh. Well,
Well,
don't
did
know
you
where
kick him?
Shaman
Or
went.
you didn't
No,
kick him? Well, I mean, like
I think he might have kicked himself.
Okay.
Let me.
He was probably no. I bet it's as simple as he's probably Xing out of the tab and probably hit StreamYard too. So I bet you he'll come right back.
Yeah, let me send a link back over to him. You should be able to use the same link, but
Yes, it works repeatedly. Yes. No, just as simple as having the tabs.
know if
Hey,
he'll
I
be
did this
realizing
on my
he
stream
himself.
2 weeks ago as well. I died from my own stream, and my co-hosts had to carry the show. So it's it all happens. So thank you everyone
Yeah.
for your patience. It's
no,
very much
absolutely
appreciated.
no. There's a lot to kind of.
Dude, I'm learning a lot of fascinating
We
stuff.
lost Jason. He'll be back in a second here.
It could be as simple as his internet reset too. You never know.
Yeah, I just shot him a text and said you have to rejoin the stream, but
Yeah, same link works.
he's looking
so.
at his phone. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah,
See, you. Some of your council members have arrived in the chat too.
Yep.
Yes.
I didn't want to pull that one up. Yes, M. Campy, a youth band in the chat, aka Greybush Campbell Soup. Council of Jeffs. I might have to just call him.
It happens. It happens.
Oh, there he is. All right, folks. Sorry about that.
to stop to text you
I'll
back.
put me
That
back.
would have
Put me
taken a moment. So I think a much cleaner way to do this now. I was wanting to try to use my original footage, but the way this thing is operating, I just pull up the X, and in I've got everything right there saved in order for what we're talking about. So I'll pop to that real quick, and you'll see what I'm trying to show you. Share screen. Share screen. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Restream or StreamYard, but it's the first one that I started using.
I've
It's
tried
been
all of
okay
them,
for-
and they're all equally frustrating. Yes, with different variations.
Oh,
Okay, so if we do it this way,
Let's see.
and we maybe
internet.
no,
There it
I'm
was.
closing. There we go. Okay, so highlights.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my ex, right? Now, here's the house, right? I'm working on. Okay, here, gentlemen, is the X, right? Now, when I looked at a satellite map to see what else I'd found, I got all the boulders over there. I see this green triangle, and I go, "Well, what's that?" I said, "Huh, that's a bunch of coniferous trees in a deciduous old world forest. This forest is old, dude. Huge trees, right? Huge deciduous trees. There are miniature deer. Miniature deer live down here. Wild boars, right? Deer, yeah, real special, sacred, protected place.
Wow.
You saw the swan. You saw the swan that lives right here. Herons live right here, right? Old growth. What is this? What is this? Okay. Now I'd already seen the X, and I'd seen these boulders, and I'd seen the stuff at Mountain Brook, which I didn't show you. I'll show another time. That's over on Rumble. So I already knew I was looking at first people stuff. That's what I call it, Antediluvian, the epoch before the Younger Dryas, right? So I'm laying here in a hammock, and I'm going, after I look at this map, I'm going, that's first people shit. I know what that is, So I put off going for a couple of weeks. So when I decided to make my way over there, back to my operating X or your window. Oh no! What did I do?
Let's see. I don't know what happened. You had just your mouse on there and then it disappeared.
I got it. I
Get
think I got it. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So close this out, and now let's walk over to that mound real quick.
Good morning. So
Look at this piece of rock.
I was going to walk over to the drill holes and film it. And I was a little nervous about it. And no matter how I do it, I'll always wish I'd done it. So I'll just take you on a walk with me.
So the X, as I call it.
On the X.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Saw marks here. And then, let me see.
Yeah, that certainly looks man-made. Absolutely.
He makes more noise when he's down here.
I'm going to let it play for a second just so you see this next piece I pick up. That I have. Watch this.
Just to give you again an idea.
Okay, now this is just a
That's-
piece of rock. So now when I tell you the rocks in the river are rubble, okay, this is a piece that I got out of the river, and it's the same rock. Okay, it's not concrete. It's the same rock that everything else is. Right? Okay, now I continue along and showing you, it looks like pieces of something is really all as I speed through for the audience. It's pieces of something. Go check out my work. You can see the
A
video.
lot of pieces around after pieces around after.
There's some really weird shit here. I want to show you something, Jeff. I'm going to leave this playing for 1 second. I have to grab a piece and show you. That I found
absolutely.
Right here in this spot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, some of these are obviously more recent native. These clay pieces.
It's interesting. It's almost like like a lot of it's gravel.
Reminiscent of what I
Usually,
Yeah, it does.
I don't-
Yeah.
a lot of times, like gravel deposits like that would almost have to be almost glacial deposits. But I don't think
Not
that
at
I'm
this
aware of
stage.
any glaciers would have been down that far. I mean, I know there's other ways that gravel can be created,
Easy.
but
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
Other side now. I really appreciate
Okay.
sand
we got
So,
on this side.
right there on that
Oh,
sandbar.
Mhm.
Let me see. I want to be able to make sure I can see the camera here. Let me minimize that so I can see. You can see. I got to stop screen sharing, don't I?
I can take the don't hit stop screen share. I can pull it down. I can pull it down and put it back up without having you to do anything. I'm gonna pull you full screen.
Okay. So
It's
looks
kind of
like
creepy looking.
it looks like a rock, right? Right. Looks.
Yeah.
It just looked like you saw me walking on them. But you pick it up and then what's that? I mean, those are equal diameter.
Okay, it almost looks like a drill hole or some sort.
It's just weird. I don't know. Look, I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I meant by weird stuff. Okay, go ahead, Jeff, and I'll speed us to the drilled hole.
That is weird. A lot of weird stuff down there.
Okay, so up we go, and now look here. I'll guide you through. You'll see the boulders and the rocks. This is the cliff I mean about. And Jeff, when you see them blown, you know they didn't fall from anywhere, bro. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're stuck like points. They're stuck into this cliff. So your brain can't help but see force being the only thing that could put such a weighty rock in that cliff face, right? Now, as I climbed the bank, you see all the sand below me. You see all the rocks on the other side. That black house was the one I was flipping, the X right below it. Now, as we make our way up the hill, you're going to notice you are still right in front of the triangle, right? And also on the other side now in front of the X, this massive sinkhole, which I would imagine would lead to under the mound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm going to climb out of the sinkhole, and I want you to have a visual quickly of the mound as it appears in the wild as you first see it. Okay, so here, I'm thinking native mound, man.
I provided.
Right?
Right. Yeah. That's anytime I see a mound in the woods now, I think it's a
That's,
burial mound or something.
but watch. That's a big rock.
Trouble starts.
Look at all the rocks scattered everywhere. Now this is the triangle, guys. That's a big rock. I'm getting
Okay.
closer to the triangle. All right, and the triangle is made of all of this rock. Those are a few pieces that had fallen off.
We'll climb it here at the point.
Now, as you see from me climbing up, you saw those big pieces off to the right, the left. It's this rock piled up. Now, the reason there's only coniferous trees on top is they can't get tap roots. Did you notice the big pine
I
trees at the
gotcha.
bottom?
The young
Compare
Yeah.
the big pine trees at the bottom with the little pine trees up top.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And once you pick up any of that pine straw, it's just gravel. It's just gray gravel. Okay.
drill hole.
So now I take you for a little walk. Show me the edge. You got 30 feet there. Easy. I call it 30 to 40. Wild boars, miniature deer everywhere. The place on top, man, that's 3 football fields wide. It's like a sanctuary. It truly is. Really special place.
Is
Go
the
ahead.
whole thing pretty flat all the way across?
Completely, brother,
Okay.
completely. Now, these rocks jutting out, you see one here out of the very top. See, here's one. Okay. Now, as I keep going, get to the point. Okay. More rocks catching your attention, letting you know there's rocks all out the edge. You're on a pile of rocks.
Right up here. This is the first one.
Look at all the fat wood. Good for a fire. But yeah, you see how flat it is, Jeff. It's that the whole way, brother. You can play
Yeah.
football on it. You can bowl on it. Okay, now to the drill hole,
Looking for
which we should
more
be at.
along the way. Just looking for more along the way.
Yeah. 10 minutes, I think, is where it's at. Let me bump us there.
If you were to go digging,
Yeah, here I am showing you.
gray.
It's just gravel underneath this.
rock. That is all.
Okay, but let's get to the visual money shot here. Okay, I marked it with a stick.
Oh yeah, that is clearly noticeable.
Wow, that looks like hole saw. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Shit. What happened?
here's the money shot.
Okay.
Just kidding.
It's okay. 10 minutes. No, I know right where to put it. We
Yep.
were at 10 minutes, bro. I got us.
No. Do you walk around when you're exploring all the time barefoot?
Yeah.
Jason?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Along the edge.
Yeah. You got to.
I got wimpy
Actually,
feet.
number
Okay. Here we go.
I used to have tough feet.
Here.
Well, that's awesome.
Unmistakably placed. This is where I found my turtle the other day. Okay.
Now it's prominently placed, sticking
Oh,
up the
yeah.
this pyramid I just showed you.
Prominently. Quite prominently.
Yeah, that's definitely not something I do.
Yeah. It's pointing. It's pointing where the
Yeah.
pyramid
Yeah.
points.
No, I was gonna say. So, no, is that kind of half moon crescent the same direction
that?
as the? Is this the
No,
same
rubble.
the crescent mound, or is this a different one?
No, we're on the triangular mound in Hoover now.
Okay. I didn't know if
number
it was the
2.
same one or not. Okay.
Yeah, I skipped.
gotcha.
So I skipped you for audience and everybody's
Oh, I
clarity.
found 2.
We skipped to this mound here at the Cahaba River
Oh, okay. You didn't show the light eye to us. Okay.
in Hoover. I'm sorry. So
No, you're good. That was my fault.
the X was here, and then you saw me walk over and along this. Okay. The LiDAR of this image is, if I can figure out how to work this thing here. Okay. So here's your mound. So this gentleman was my first entree before I found even the more dramatic things that I showcased in Antediluvian, Alabama. This was my first entree into the reality of a lost epoch of time. There is no explanation for this. Native Americans did not build this mound. These pieces of rock that make up this mound are the size of buses, cars, all the way down to the pebbles that the poor pine trees cannot take root in. Perfectly flat, perfectly level. You see this little pathway leading off. It's old growth, old massive trees growing on it. You know, all an original part of this. So in this, I saw a message, guys. You know, to not bog us down, I found a bunch of what I say is precious metal. It might even hint at ore calculum. I'll show you pictures. It's like silver gold, and it's behind this X. And I believe that whoever came back, however long after the destruction of this place, and I evidenced this destruction all over the state, put this stuff in a pyramid, pointed it and put an X mark, and then put all the melted and destroyed precious metal to show future generations when time came to be able to decipher this message encoded in the earth that as Graham Hancock always says, they ceased to wear their prosperity with moderation, meaning they put their focus on the material. And I believe in this, you see that message echoed. They are trying to show us what brought this destruction. One of the other messages they left us to keep us moving forward, what ties for me Mabila with these guys. I showed you the map my artist made of the area around Mabila. I want to show you a satellite map of the area around Mabila. And I'm going to show you this little area right here. Some people say it kind of looks like a snake head. Some people say a jackal head. You've got an eyeball right here. You've got a mouth right here. This area looks like a wing, right? Sort of. Maybe it looks like an asteroid flying through the air. And if you take away the towns and the cities and you realize all of this is swamp, if I can get my mouse to work, So all of this is old growth swamp, and if you see these little tiny rows in here, these are rows of cypress trees. What happens? I won't take the time to try to navigate your share screen to get to another map. But when you look at the map of the creeks in the area, what you realize happens is two creeks. One flows here, one flows here. They meet, and they both take a 90-degree angle, and they start flooding this man-made landscape. When you look at LiDAR, it's all roads. Now today it's modern swamp. It's not rows for crops, but it is engineered. I believe it is a geoscape. I forget the name. Luke Caverns used the proper name for it. It's when the earthwork uses negative space to instead of positive space. There is a specific word for it. I forget it.
I should know it, but I can't remember it either.
Yeah, I know. I feel disappointed. Luke reached out to me the other day about Mabila, and here I am forgetting one of the first words he taught me. Intaglio, I think. All right, teacher.
We'll
Intaglio. Anyhow, so I've learned an official name for what I was calling an abnormally large earthwork. Now, my mind, gentlemen, when I first saw this, and I have it in different seasons as well to sort of showcase. Here it is in summer as well. What I have, I believe, is a winged serpent, and I know the winged serpent. We all know the winged serpent from around the world as signifying the destruction from the sky, associated with the younger dryas. So when I found this, and I had found that triangular mound where we just were, this, by the way, is here. Attahachie, the town, was here. Okay. DeSoto and Tuscaloosa met here. The Coosa River is here. Okay. This is Tuscaloosa's territory that we are looking at here.
Okay.
Now, when we move back to where we were, the triangular mound, which takes us to Antediluvian, right? I believe along with that winged serpent earthwork, this destruction, what I just started showing you with this Cahaba River stuff, this destruction runs all the way to North Alabama and beyond, up into the Appalachians, right? Some of the most dramatic finds I found are up there, but it all started here. Once I found this place, once I stood on top of it, once I realized what everyone else calls either fantasy or reality, right? They're looking for evidence. Once I stood on it, once I laid on it, I knew for me, I'd found it. I knew it was real. And so it was time to keep going and see what else existed, right? What else existed after one ventures upwards to...
Okay. I'm going to stop you real quick there, Jason. Isaac's got to get going.
Okay, dude.
So
thanks
Isaac,
again, Jeff.
Bro.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining. Why don't you let people know quick where they can find you and what you got coming up?
Oh, of course, as always, I have my channel. Check it out. We're streaming every Monday night. Current events, politics. And Jason, nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for coming on tonight. I learned quite a lot. So very interesting stuff. Very much appreciated. So as always, Jeff, good work. Hope you guys have a good stream. I do have to go, though.
Yeah,
so everyone have a good night.
absolutely.
And thank you to the chat as well. So see you guys. Have a good one.
See you, Isaac. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, so check out Isaac.
Go check out Isaac. I should have moved through
YouTube.
Mabila so much faster, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's all right. You were in the groove, for lack of
Once
better
I
terms there.
start talking about that, I guess I had to leave the audience. I was going to see if I could pull up a picture of where they can find me. Is that you need to end, right?
If you tell you what, why don't we're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 on this.
Yeah, I think so. Why don't I tease them with a few pictures of the big rocks, and then you can let me know when you want to do a
Yeah,
part.
as I say, we covered quite a bit today. So
let's
I
just
think-
give a teaser of what's up next. How about that?
Yeah, maybe would you be interested in coming back on next week?
Sure, I would be happy
Okay.
to.
That way we'll just keep it in conjunction.
Yeah, I'm filming regularly now, so absolutely. So just to give the audience, now that we've taught them about that, I'll show my YouTube page, and this is where I've really been trying to sort of push Antediluvian Alabama. Here is your Finding Mabila presentation. Here I will completely, much more thoroughly cover. Using Nick's footage and even telling the full story and all. So if you liked what I hinted at Mabila, check here. Now, as far as the Antediluvian stuff, you can see pretty well labeled here. So guys, I went to North Alabama after I found that triangular pyramid in Hoover, and I realized what I was finding. You see this metal circle here, of course, is one of the wildest features.
Those still kind of blow my mind.
Yeah, they're
The first
pretty,
time
they're pretty wild.
yeah.
Facing the
You found 3 of them, didn't you?
boulders here, as you can
You'll
see,
see all 3 right here.
on my way down the hill from the original circular
And
metal
with this.
deposit. And without a doubt,
So that's metal and stone.
I was coming down here for a reason.
On
Because
Lookout
at the bottom of this much smaller rock,
Perfectly circular, symmetrical measures.
there's yet another one.
Now I'm going to walk uphill about 40 feet. Let me walk uphill.
And if you want to see
Here's another one.
what I call the third,
Let me show you the rubble as I
Now.
walk uphill.
the first circular metal deposit is right here
Give you
on the
perspective.
side of this rock.
Interesting kind of outcroppings too.
Dude, I found another one right there on that boulder you see right behind me. Head down there. I need to go snap a
Stone,
picture as soon as I
Flat
get
stone, weird stone. Where'd it come
footage
from? What's it
hiking
doing
from one
there?
to the other.
Piled up. What force? What high energy?
Okay,
What heat melted all of
now here we are,
Yeah.
the original
metal and stone?
circular metal deposit. And if you want to see what I call the third,
And then yeah, around the back there's a much more melted, fainter.
Now, I know we talked about this before, but
go ahead, Tom.
watching you walk through this, it reminds me of parts of Cusco, Peru.
It really does.
I saw it on there.
does.
Like
I
Zona
looked-
X, Kenko,
I'm gonna stop.
it all looks just like that.
Let me find you. I just stopped sharing. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I think we did give a nice tease there.
I'd say so.
Let me relocate you.
Mhm.
There you are. Okay. Yeah, it really does, Jeff. That's why I'm
Mhm.
excited to share it with you. Again, now that type video goes on for hours, y'all. The Antediluvian, there's a few half-hour, 40-minute episodes. There's a few 9-minute episodes. I try to give you the overview with it,
Mhm.
and much of it, Jeff, I'm excited to do with you because that was just a hint, and so
Mhm.
much of it is, man, I want somebody who's been to these places in South America to watch it with me. I really, really do.
Yep. Actually,
Because
our friend
I've
Sophie
never
here.
been.
Our friend Sophie here actually lives in Peru. I met her when we were on our Peru trip. She was part of the crew. So,
Oh well, let's make sure Sophie can tune in when we.
oh yeah, I
in this.
She
I
goes
would be
barefoot, too.
very excited. Yeah, so that's some visuals on what I do, in a brief introduction on how I started and why I use a screen name. Yeah, two different stories that I believe do tie together. I do believe that there is a tie between these civilizations. I do believe there's a reason that for hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of years, why the Western world was living and becoming what we know and what we now live in today. I do believe there was a reason that this society that DeSoto found, that lived in harmony with nature, that didn't have to work, that had a Garden of Eden relatively. For thousands of years. I believe that was for a reason, and I believe there's a lot we can learn from that faction. And I'll just leave it there for next time because I'm sure we'll dive deep into all of that.
yeah, no.
Love you, Max.
rocks.
Max has been
Max?
following me do this for a long time. Some of those first videos I showed you, Max has been paying attention before then. He's been around a bit.
Awesome.
Hope your
Thanks
son's
for being
well.
here, Max. Sorry, what'd you say?
No, Max has a kid. I was just saying, hope your boy's
Oh.
well.
Well, good. Yeah, hope he's well. Well, I think we're gonna wind her down there because we went through quite a bit tonight, and like you said, your little teaser for hopefully next week. we
Yeah,
get to
I
work out.
think we'll leave it at part one, and next week.
Yeah, I'll change the
It
title.
really
of
is the big rock stuff is what excites everybody. You got a hint at it, and I promise you guys that is not even scratching the surface of what there is to showcase on Lookout Mountain. It is. Saxe Wallmon blew the fuck up when Airburst from Younger Dryas came through, and everything just went, and it's still there, and we
For
call
lack of
it
better
top of
words,
Lookout Mountain. Yeah, and we're gonna take a look at that next week.
Oh, that'll be. Oh, Hold on, I messed up here.
Uh-oh, Sarah's throwing the flip-flops at me. That means I'm saying too much.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Okay, good night. Good night, Sarah. I'm sorry. It's bye time. Shut up time now. Shut up, Jason. Dodging flip-flop.
Dodge it.
Our head of PR. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone that sat through us trying to cover a bunch. I was hoping to cover all my work quickly, an overview for everybody. But thank you, Jeff, for just letting me have fun with you, bro.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it all intertwines, interconnects with your whole story and everything that got you into this. So there's no point in skipping around here and there if you're gonna miss all the important parts, like we kind of did at the beginning, explaining what Mabila was.
Yeah, we did. We totally
got a little excited and just dove right in. So
well, I've got a video. If you go watch the presentation, I've got a video where I tell the story. Video. And I thought, I was like, do I show it? I was like, no, it's 18 minutes. Skip it. So, but it is all there, quite well rendered.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll put that video specifically. I'll drop it in the chat here, and then I'll also put it in the description of the live so people can go watch it directly.
Yeah, and guys, all of this stuff is broken down and described more succinctly on my X page and YouTube. So just go there between now and next week, and you can start getting a heads up. And I've even got a few topics, man, that I have not put up on YouTube. I'm going to cover next week with you. Hatchet Creek. I've found some Antediluvian stuff a little further south. So I've got yet another first time for you.
I'm looking forward to it.
I've had a blast, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, me too. This has been fantastic.
I've been working on establishing a podcast, and so I've been busy in the role of, interviewing, paying attention to guests. And I hope that didn't carry over too badly. And
Hold on, you're kind of cutting in and out for me.
I was very excited, is all I was going to say. I've been establishing this podcast with Ricardo, the shaman and the philosopher at the Institute of Natural Philosophy. I've been putting my time there and interviewing folks and all. And so I have not spoken about my work in this format in a very long time. So I thank you for it. And I do hope that my excitement at it having been so long and my passion didn't bubble over too much and make it whatever.
I think you're all right.
I'm deeply grateful, Jeff, for the chance to talk about this stuff. It excites the heck out of me, if the audience couldn't tell.
No, I love any of this stuff. Just the megalithic, the antediluvian, just the stories of Saint Mabila and stuff like that. Even your story, your personal story, and everything like that. I spend way too much time watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That sometimes during like these shows like this, I forget that I'm the host.
Yeah, right.
I forget to ask questions or reply, but no, I absolutely love this stuff too. I like not only trying to find stuff myself and make my own shit, but just listen to other people's stories and what they're finding. I love it. So
well, we're all, if you look around this community, Jeff, we're all how do you say it? We're all, finding people, that we're comfortable talking with and working with, and who's working on this. And you can see little teams and groups forming all under sort of a cohesive banner. And, I feel like that's just part of the process. And I'm loving getting to know you. And I hope, instead of trying to cram it all into one, we're able to continue, like you said, let's go on to part 2, and then we can start breaking some of it down in part 3 or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure. When you mentioned all these people kind of forming the communities and stuff like that, Rube said this earlier. He said Aaron East 10 and Dave did an entire stream thinking he was live and wondered why no one was chatting with them.
I always chat with them. I always go to their chat.
I don't think they put it. Maybe he's saying that they never hit live and they recorded the whole thing, or didn't record it without hitting live.
Shaman's always there. They know it. Bugging them.
But I think what Rue's saying is
Rue's
always there. Stream without hitting the live, like go live, so it never streamed. I think that's what he might be saying, which is funny. Can happen to anyone though.
We got to figure out how to do X spaces as simultaneously, so we can be pulling them from everywhere. That's what I've noticed. Like Wandering Wolf is doing. He'll do his YouTube and pull whatever 100 to 2, but he's also doing his X, pulling down 175, and Kay Smythe Hill is doing her X, pulling down 250. So we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
happy. I'm happy with 100. Thanks, guys. I love every one of
I
you.
appreciate, no, absolutely. I appreciate everyone that's been
Every last
that's
one of you.
subbed and been a part of this. So
And the cool thing is, we know, at this level, we know everybody too, and that's what's great. Love you,
Yeah.
Sarah. Thanks for sticking
yes,
around.
no, thank you.
Thanks for the flip flops.
They did the whole stream without us seeing them yet, so they must have. Ooh, that would suck. Oh, well, at least they probably had a good conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul, awesome.
Thank you,
fellas.
Jacqueline, for sticking around for my first attempt at this live business. I think it went well. I had one drop off, right? Okay.
I think you went well. Yeah,
Excellent. Jeff,
absolutely.
you're amazing,
First,
dude.
you as well, brother. You're the first guest of the year. Thank you for coming on. And once again, everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We've had Jason, aka the Shaman 711, joining us this evening. Isaac 556x45 was here. He had to go. But we decided next week we can make it work out. Hopefully, I don't see why not. We will have a part 2
I'd be happy to, man. Anytime.
absolutely of this conversation. So
I am dedicated to this and happy to cover it anytime. And I very much enjoyed working with you, man. Ever since we had you on our show, you're a really good dude, and that's what I look for, and that's what anybody should be looking for when it's who are you going to put around you, who are you going to spend your time with. You're gonna find people that are passionate and that are good people, and yeah, I'm just blessed, man, and I really, really appreciate you being you.
yeah, no, thank you. You as well. It's been fantastic.
Keep being you, and we're going to keep doing this shit.
Exactly. We're gonna keep. All right. Before
That goes for everybody at home too. Everybody that we know that has showed up. Keep being you, and we got this shit, and we love you. Thank
you're
you.
all awesome.
Yep.
Nerd Slap, friend of mine. Damn, did I miss it? Yes, you did. So you can always rewatch it on the.
You got a week before we do
VOD,
part
but-
2.
Yep, we're doing a part 2 next week, nerds.
Yep.
So don't miss that one. But all right, we're gonna wrap her up right there. Once again, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone in the chat. Anyone that lurked, anyone's gonna watch this afterwards. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Jason, for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. You all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.
See you, everybody. God bless.
Take it easy.